Aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording of the very first audience member at the Globe Theatre? There was only one person in the audience on that first night, but boy did he applaud. He loved it. Mesmerising stuff. Hello, and welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. Here we are, it's another day, and it's another sonnet. Of course, this week, because we work through the sonnets in numerical order, it would only make sense to look at Sonnet 74 today. It would be rude to skip Sonnet 74, if I'm being honest. And if you're joining the podcast for the first time, if you're listening right now for the first time to Sonnet 74, I've got a question. First of all, where have you been? Secondly, why Sonnet 74? Why are you joining now? Is that your favourite sonnet? And if so, why is it your favourite sonnet? It's not one of the classics, but it is good. I wouldn't hold it against you. But you probably know your sonnets if Sonnet 74 is your favourite sonnet, if you know what I mean. You've probably read a lot of sonnets because you don't just dive into 74. You don't dive in. You will have read all the classics first. And you know what? I said last week, I'm prepared for Sonnet 74 to actually be Sonnet 73 Part 2. And guess what? I was right. It is a double-header, a two-parter, because it starts with but. Who starts a poem with but? You can't give that its own number. It has to be part 2. Or all one sonnet. And I know that doesn't make sense because a sonnet is only 14 lines. And yeah, but look, you can't. You can technically start a sonnet with but. The thing is, people are going to be wondering what the hell happened before the but. And if they didn't read Sonnet 73, they're in real trouble. Anyway, I've complained about this enough on the podcast. I'm just going to have to let it go. Let's take a listen to Sonnet 74, shall we? But be contented when that fell arrest, without all bale shall carry me away. My life hath in this line some interest, which for memorial still with thee shall stay. When thou reviewest this, thou dost review the very part was consecrate to thee. The earth can have but earth, which is his due. My spirit is thine, the better part of me. So then thou hast but lost the dregs of life, the prey of worms, my body being dead, the coward conquest of a wretch's knife, too base of thee to be remembered. The worth of that is that which it contains, and that is this, and this with thee remains. Wowee! Sonnet 74, there it is, or Sonnet 73 Part 2, and it makes sense to be a Part 2 because it is along the same themes. Actually, it's the last 4 sonnets, I'd say, where he's talking about, look, I'm going to die anytime now. I could die tomorrow. I could die right now in front of you. I'm going to drop dead right now. And he's saying, listen, when that happens, don't worry about it, because I will remain. Well, he's talked about this in previous sonnets, but he's saying the spirit of me will remain in my sonnets. So you can always have a read of those if you sort of starting to forget about who I was, etc., etc. But obviously my body will be with the earth, but that's actually not important. What is important is my spirit, and that's all yours, mate. Well, not mate, lover, I should say. So yes, similar themes I think you'll find from this one. Let's dive into it and break it down line by line, shall we? So we start with, but be contented when that fell arrest, without all bale shall carry me away. So here he's saying, but listen, don't be upset when death comes and carries me off. Don't be upset about that. Again, I've said in the past, easier said than done. Shakespeare, for God's sake. My life hath in this line some interest. So this line, of course, he's talking about the sonnet that he's writing, or his lover is reading. And he's saying, my life will continue, in a way, in these lines that I've written. Which, for memorial still with thee shall stay. So in these lines that I've written, they will always be yours to remember me by. So that's a nice little treat for you there. If I'm being honest, if I received this and they said, don't worry about me dying because you'll always have this little poem, I'd say, well, that's not the same, is it? I actually just want you. The poem's nice, don't get me wrong, but I am sort of after just sort of you as a human, and living is better. It's better than the poem. But that's just me. Then he continues with, when thou reviewest this, thou dost review the very part was consecrate to thee. So here he's saying, when you reread this, when you review this at a later date, you'll be seeing the part of me that was dedicated to you. The earth can have but earth, which is his due. My spirit is thine, the better part of me. So here I think he's saying the earth can only have the earthly part of me, which is aka my body. Sort of, the earth can have my body, alright? And that's just my body. Nothing really, just a load of old flesh. But you, on the other hand, you can have my spirit, which is the way better part of me, actually. And that's all yours. So don't worry about the body. The body I'll donate to earth, but you can have my spirit, and that's nice. So then thou hast but lost the dregs of life, the prey of worms, my body being dead. The coward conquest of a wretch's knife, too base of thee to be remembered. That's quite a big section, but it's all one thought. And he's saying, so when I'm dead, you'll really only have my body, and that's just the worst part. That's the dregs of life. That's the bit that the worms like to eat. They get all involved and eat away at the flesh. And it's the cowardly part of me. The bit that could be the conquest of a wretch's knife. So the bit that could actually physically be killed. And it's honestly pointless to remember this part of me, because it's pathetic. My body, really pathetic. There's nothing to it. So I was a little bit confused by the coward conquest of a wretch's knife. But I don't think that's literal. I don't think he's literally saying when I get stabbed, or he's anticipating getting stabbed. I think he's saying that my body could be stabbed and killed by death. But my spirit, for example, can't. It can't be stabbed. I don't think you can stab a spirit, I'm pretty sure. And now, of course, we're on to the final couplet. The worth of that is that which it contains, and that is this, and this with thee remains. A lot of that and this and this and that, this, that in that last final couplet, which is not the best writing. Again, I'd say maybe just go back on that one, have a little reread of that Shakespeare, maybe a few little cuts, a suggestion to take out a few of the that's, a few of the thises, and make it a little bit more succinct. But no, this is what we've got. So this basically means what gives my body its worth is the spirit, is its spirit. It's not actually the physical body, as I've been saying in the rest of the poem. And that spirit is in this poem that I'm writing. That remains in these lines. And this poem, these lines, remain with you. So don't worry when I die. Don't worry about my body. Alright, that's going to the earth. And that's actually quite sad and pathetic and not very interesting. But my spirit, alright, that is yours, baby. That is yours. And if you forget what my spirit's like, it's in these lines here. These lines contain my spirit. So lucky you. So there we have it. Sonnet 74. A bit more of the same, really. just written in a different way. And here he's talking about his spirit. He hasn't really talked about that much in the last few sonnets. He's just been saying, "Oh, when I'm die, just don't worry about it." But here he's giving some practical solutions for when he dies, which is nice. He's saying, "Look, give this poem a read and remember my spirit." That's nice, isn't it? So good to see he's actually being practical about it this time. He's not just saying, "Don't worry about it when I die, just forget about me." Because that's just way easier said than done, as I've said in the past. Anyway, I think it's about time we put this to our story, which is going... Wow, Shakespeare's been through the wars, hasn't he? He's on this boat back with Christopher Marlowe, and he has been through the wars, hasn't he? First of all, he was really ill, and he had to write a poem to say, "Look, when I die, just don't worry about it." And then he got better, which is good, but his leg got caught in some rope and he got thrown over some sharks, and the sharks were about to eat him, but luckily he managed to get back onto the boat and survived. He did more than survive. He bloody cut the shark's head off somehow and returned to the boat with that triumphantly in his hand. Let's find out what happens next. Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe were on their boat, but 5 hours from the coast of England. They were both so excited to return to their homeland. For Shakespeare, it had been months. For Christopher Marlowe, it had been years. They joked and laughed and thought about all the things that they were happy to return to. Pork pies and fish and chips and good old Great British bunting, cups of tea, what else is British? Curry, not technically British, but the British people like curry. And of course, how could I forget that good old British sense of humour and sarcasm. That night they went to sleep, dreaming of their new life together in London. At 2 a.m, Shakespeare awoke. There was a thud, thud, thud on the boards above his head. He looked next to him. Christopher Marlowe was still fast asleep. Shakespeare, thinking it was a bird or something like that, closed his eyes and started to drift back to sleep. Suddenly, he felt breathing on his face. He slowly opened his eyes and found himself eye to eye with a fearsome pirate. The pirate had a knife in his mouth and put his finger up to his lips. "Don't make a noise," he said. "Come with me." Shakespeare silently got up from his bed and made his way towards the bedroom door with the pirate jabbing at him with his knife. Shakespeare, as he arrived at the door, turned and said, "Are you going to kill me?" And the pirate said, "Maybe we will if we don't get what we want." And Shakespeare said, "Oh no, that really sucks. Look, I know you want to leave quietly, but I've just got to do something really quickly. Do you mind?" And the pirate said, "Get out quickly," and jabs him again with the knife. And Shakespeare says, "No, this is really important, actually. I need to write a quick sonnet." And the pirate says, "What's a sonnet?" And Shakespeare says, "Well, it's 14 lines, basically. It's a poem, essentially. And it always ends with the final couplet, which nicely sort of rounds up the poem. So it's rather neat, really." And the pirate said, "A poem? No chance. Get out of here. Get up the stairs." And Shakespeare says, "Honestly, it'll only take a few seconds to write. It's not going to take long, but I just need to explain to this gorgeous man sleeping in the bed over there, that I might die, and that he needs to just be okay with that. So it's actually very important. The pirate looks at Shakespeare, then looks at the sleeping Christopher Marlowe, and says, "Oh, I was once in love. Alas, not anymore. Go on then, quickly write it, but make it snappy." So Shakespeare went over to his writing desk and scrawled down Sonnet 74. It only took a few minutes. It wasn't his best work. When he had finished, the pirate jabbed at him again with the knife, and they fled into the night. A few hours later, Christopher Marlowe awoke. Shakespeare was not next to him. He scrambled about the room. "Shakespeare? Shakespeare, are you there?" No answer. He went over to Shakespeare's writing desk and saw a sonnet left for him. He quickly scrabbled to open it up and read Sonnet 74. "Be happy when death comes to take me away. My life will still live on in this poem, which will stay with you as a reminder. When you read this, you'll be looking at the part of me that is yours. The earth can only have my body, which is what it's owed. But my spirit is yours, which is the best part of me, to be honest. So you'll only have lost the worst parts of me, my stupid old body, which will decay after I die. A coward's death caused by a weak man's knife, too unimportant and pathetic to be remembered. The real value lies in what my body holds, my spirit, which remains with you forever." So, there we have it, Sonnet 74. God, Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe are having an absolute nightmare trying to get back to London, aren't they? First of all, he's ill. Secondly, sharks. Thirdly, bloody pirates. Oh, well, look, I hope to God that pirate doesn't kill Shakespeare, though in a way it would put an end to his sonnets about him dying. Find out what happens to Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe next week on the final couplet, when we look at Sonnet 75. Until then, bye.